Hello, everybody. Good morning, good day, good evening, whatever it is. Today, we're going to talk about having conversations that we've been putting off that can be difficult, or maybe they're more difficult because we've been putting them off. My name's Rodney.
And I'm Keith, and this is the More in Common Daily Chronicle, where Rodney and I chronicle our journey to get where we're going, wherever that may be, ultimately leaving a video diary for our daughters to look back upon as they progress and go through their journey, and hopefully they can learn a thing or two from the process. And of course, we love building communities, so we love that you're coming along with us. So
Yes, we
yeah,
do. And I'm walking my dogs. So, Keith, you
oh,
had a
rough.
scenario recently. It's
Yes,
getting windy. I'm walking the dogs, but you had a scenario where an employee of yours, of your household,
yes,
you guys had some challenges with, you and your wife
yeah,
had some challenges with,
yeah.
and you put off a conversation, a series of conversations. So give us a little bit of some of the backdrop, and then like what it's ultimately led to, and we'll kind of get into it.
So there's this underlying, so it's our nanny, and there's this underlying thread. She's been helping take care of our kids for 2 years, 2+ years now. And we approach things in a way that she may not approach things, right? Our approach is probably a little more formal and business oriented, and all of these things. And her approach is more family oriented, and she wants to be,
Informal.
yeah, it would be more informal. And so over time, there have been a series of missteps that have led to a culmination of the last month and a half where it's just been a mess. And I don't want to over discuss
Yeah.
what the mess has been, but what we decided to do is like, okay, there has been a component of this that we have put off, and that is the idea that we haven't felt like she appreciates the role that she has within our ecosystem, right?
And have
And
you and you said you put off a couple conversations. Had you had that conversation with her?
And that's the conversation that we have been putting off. We don't feel appreciated. And I
Yeah.
think the reason we've put that off is because when we take a more business approach to things, we're looking at it as like, okay, here's your package, right? Like, here's everything that you get. Why aren't you appreciating it? But you show up most of the, like, you're showing up to take care of our kids. It's almost like this weird underlying, I don't want to address that because it's kind of weird and awkward. So let's address a whole bunch of other things around it. And at the same time, I think that the reverse is true too, because of the way we manage things. She may not feel appreciated by us,
Mm.
but again, you get all of the things that we provide, and she loves the kids and all this stuff. So she has kind of gone around the issue. And so it came to a head, and we typed up crafted an email and basically realized, without realizing it before, that appreciation is the underlying biggest challenge that both of us have, right? And so we end up having a direct conversation about it. And what made
Because
me
something came to a head. Like, so,
yeah,
yeah.
we had a whole, this last month and a half has been bananas, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it hinges on her availability and some things that are going on in her life. And um, that lack of appreciation isn't so much that we don't appreciate her or she doesn't appreciate us. It's how we receive appreciation. It's kind of like love languages, right? It's
Exactly. Love
how
language.
how we appreciate, how we receive appreciation. And so we ended up having a conversation. But now that we had these emails that came out, it's like, okay, it made me realize, like, that's the issue. We need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And this is the point in all of it, is you've got to find that issue and you've got to address it. And the reality may be that neither of us can effectively address it for the other, right? What we need may not be able to be delivered by her, and what she needs, we may not actually be able to deliver to her, right?
Hmm.
But what we've come to the realization is, like, we need clarity on those things, and we've started to deliver it, and now we can adjust to make the situation better, or
For everybody.
to go in separate ways, which I don't think is the direction that is going to happen, but that
Yeah.
could be the end result. It's like, well, I can't deliver that, you can't deliver that. Now we have clarity. We have clarity, we have honesty, and we have an understanding. So now that ill feeling is dissipated or flattened out.
So let me ask a question. Why do you know why you put it off? Is it because you didn't have the clarity of what was going on, like why you felt the way you felt, or because
I
you didn't? Like you said some of it, like the situation with kids, like you didn't really want to have,
Yeah, it
didn't want
seemed
to have a conversation.
awkward.
It wasn't that, yeah,
Yeah, it seemed like a relationship conversation, and we're taking it like a professional. So it just didn't seem like, but the end of the day, like we're all people, right? So whether it's business or whether it's personal, the same feelings, sentiments, emotions come out, and you've got to address them, even if you're in a business setting or a business-like setting, right?
yeah.
Like, and
That's
I think that's the thing that through this, it's like, dancing around it just doesn't help anybody at a human level,
right. So
even if
dancing
it
around
may
it
be the
doesn't help. So you
personal
had the
thing.
conversation. Do
Yeah,
you feel better?
I do.
Yeah.
I'll be,
Does your wife feel better?
I'm, not yet.
Does your nanny feel
Um,
better?
I think so.
Is
She's
she
like
also
you.
feeling off about it?
Yeah, but she's like you. She processes and then will probably write us later and communicate on it.
Yeah.
So there's more to be done here, but we've hit the root issue versus trying to address all these other things that ultimately aren't necessarily issues. They're symptoms, right?
Yeah. Mm.
And so,
Good.
like, and I think it's important that we talk about this because, especially for the girls, right? Like, it's important when there is something, first of all, try to figure out what the underlying issue is. And if it's a personal setting, professional setting, if it's a military setting, like whatever, maybe not military, but whatever it is, even then, like, address it at a human level. Take
Yeah.
all of the external components out of it. If it's bothering
Well,
you, bothering them, and it's preventing a effective relationship,
w-
whatever that may be, like, address
one
it.
one sec. So would you say? So you said you wrote an email to help you. That helped you get
I
to
didn't write it. My
figuring
wife
out that
did.
the underlying thing was appreciation. So did you read that and figure it out, or did you
N-
know? Like, how did you?
No, she responded, and that's when it hit me. And she gave me a very direct, honest response, and I was like, and that's when I was like, oh, if you read both of these emails, that is the pervasive issue.
Yeah. So because I'm guessing that emails had a lot of those other issues that had nothing to do.
All of the details and everything, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about as you gave your advice, like maybe like whatever it is for you, starting with those, because if they are symptoms, like use those to get yourself back to the main point, by
Yeah.
exploring them, or I don't know, everybody's process is going to be different, but I think the key is not ignoring them and not putting them off, saying like, oh, it's awkward, or I'm silly, or this shouldn't be, like, I shouldn't feel this way. I think that could be, especially in a business setting where emotions aren't typically respected to the
Right.
level that they would be in a relationship, in most
Right.
relationships, I should say.
Right.
It's easy to write it off and say, well, it's just, I'm just feeling a certain way. I don't feel appreciated. It's like, well, it's business. Should I feel
Right.
appreciated? It's like, well,
Right.
but trust, like, but lean into it for a second to figure out what that's doing for you, and then you can have a conversation around it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like having a fever. A fever is a symptom. You could have the flu, you could have coronavirus, right?
oh boy.
But if
Yeah.
you ignore it, if you ignore the fever, you're not going to know which, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, don't ignore the fever, and get the diagnosis, and then, treat it however you. Sometimes treating a diagnosis is letting it go, right? In this particular case, that's not the treatment for this diagnosis.
I love this, and I think I want to say like, oh, you'll be a catch-all for everything, just to like have the conversation the first time. But the truth in it is that, and I'm thinking of this as talking to the girls, like the truth in it is we learn through pain, we learn through mistakes,
Yes.
and sometimes like this experience is going to help you with her or any other nanny that you have down the road, and probably through any conversations where you have a similar feeling now, like you'll notice it faster and be able to have the
Yes.
conversation faster.
Yes.
So it's like, as soon as you can, recognize those feelings and maybe write them down, maybe write down all the things that are bothering you and see if you can figure out the one that's causing it, and then try and address it.
Yeah,
That's what
I think we leave it there. And hey, sometimes you just got to be brave enough to start a conversation that matters.
Ooh, I like how you dropped that in there. Look at you, marketing.
Available
All right,
at www.moreincommonpod.com.
commonpod.com.
Awesome. All right.
All right, late.